Hi, this is Jonathan and my son Ezra. And if you're wondering how long you can consume coffee after you brewed it, stay tuned. I'll answer that question and address a couple other important things relating to that in this video. So, quick answer to the question, how long does coffee stay fresh after it's been brewed? 30 minutes. And if that surprises you, it definitely surprised me as well. I appreciate coffee. I like the taste of it. I like the effects it has on me, but I don't really care so much if it tastes perfectly fresh or not. So I know I've consumed coffee well past that 30-minute mark. So it doesn't mean that after 30 minutes, the coffee all of a sudden becomes, unbearable, has an unbearable taste and is, unsafe to consume. It just means that if you're really picky about your taste, try to consume it within 30 minutes to really get the most flavor out of it. Because the first minute after you've brewed coffee, it comes in contact with the air and it begins to oxidize, which simply means that the oxygen in the air works with the coffee to start breaking it down, which alters the flavor, which makes it taste less fresh to us. But assuming that you're not in that situation of being super picky about your taste, the rest of this video is still for you. You're probably wondering, well, how long can I actually still consume it without noticing a huge difference in flavor? And that's, of course, very subjective. I've had coffee as many as 8 to 10 hours after I brewed it and had no problem with the taste at all. Just reheat it a little bit and it tastes perfectly fine. So you could probably let it sit out of the fridge for even a day or two and it still would be safe to consume, but you would start noticing a difference in flavor. And the key there is being outside the fridge. If you do put it in the fridge, that will really help it to last a lot longer. And also if you put it in a sealed airtight container, that will help it to stay fresh longer as well. Because again, what you're trying to avoid is oxidation, getting the coffee in contact with oxygen in the air. So actually, if you put your coffee in a sealed airtight container as soon as you brewed it, you could probably let it out of the fridge for up to 2 or 3 hours before you start to even be able to notice a difference in flavor. So to rephrase the original answer, how long does it stay fresh outside the fridge in the open? 30 minutes. How long does it stay fresh outside the fridge in a sealed container? 1 to 2 or potentially 3 hours. So probably your next question is, well, what are some things you can do to keep it fresh for a longer period of time? We've covered a couple of those already, so I'll summarize that. Number one thing being whether it's in the fridge or not. Number two, if it's in a sealed airtight container. And the last important thing to keep in mind is whether you've added things to the coffee as well. So if you've added creamer, especially milk, sugar, all those things can affect how long it stays fresh. So basically the good rule of thumb is whatever ingredient you've added to the coffee that lasts the least amount of time being fresh is the figure you want to go with. So if coffee could last 2 days outside the fridge and stay fresh, but milk only lasts about an hour or two, which that's what I believe, then coffee with milk should only be consumed within the first hour or two after brewing it. Now that's a general rule of thumb. I know I have, and a couple other people have consumed coffee that's been mixed with milk for hours after it's been brewed. So that's not to say that you can't do that. It's just you are taking a risk. So you have to be aware of that you could potentially become sick if the milk goes bad that shortly after it's been mixed with coffee. Another good thing to know is how to tell if coffee has turned bad. So we'll start with if it's just coffee by itself and not any creamer or milk or anything. Sniff test is the first thing you can do. But if it's just black coffee, again, with no additives, what you're looking for is a loss of scent, not a foul scent, because you probably won't notice any foul scents if it's just coffee by itself. So pay attention to how the coffee smelled when it was freshly brewed and within the first 30 minutes of being brewed, and then compare that to how it smells at whatever time you're checking it, a day later, 2 days later, whatever. And if it smells significantly less, then you know it's going to taste less fresh. And if you practically don't smell anything at all, then it might be too far gone. If you're brave enough, you could do a sip test, and that's pretty self-explanatory. If it doesn't taste bad, just go with your gut, no pun intended. So that's just black coffee by itself. If you've added milk or creamer, then you do want to look for foul scents because, as you know, milk smells very bad after it becomes, after it's gone too far. So if you've added milk to your coffee, do the smell test. Probably don't want to do the taste test if it's pretty obvious from the smell test that it's not good. So we've covered how long it stays fresh, how to keep it staying fresher, how to tell if it is still fresh. So hopefully that answers a couple of your important questions. If you have any additional questions, feel free to comment on this video or this blog post if it's in a blog post. Check out my blog post with that covers the same topic because I've answered a couple other additional questions as well, like does reheating coffee in your in the microwave affect the caffeine? And actually, one quick thing too before I finish this off, can you reheat your coffee in the microwave? Again, it comes down to your preference. It definitely does affect the flavor and the taste of it. So if you're trying to be as pure as possible, you want to reheat it on the stove, preferably in just like a kettle, and warm it up slowly so it doesn't burn or affect the taste. But if you could care less about the taste and you don't mind about it, not tasting as fresh, throw it in the microwave for 30 or 40 seconds, or if it's been in the fridge, maybe a minute or a minute and a half. And it's good to go. Great, thank you again. And if you like this video, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.